The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. Today is November 7th, 2024, and we will be diving into ERwin's latest update in the data modeling world, ERwin Data Modeling version 14. We're pleased to have you here to understand the crucial role that data modeling plays in driving business success. And today, it's all about giving you the tools to harness that power even better than before. I'd like to introduce our Sandhill team that's going to be demonstrating some of the technology. We've got Steve Dillon, Ryan Mabi, and Pabesh Gumahan. With that, I'd like to just start with a few housekeeping notes. This session will be and is being recorded. And if you have any kind of questions, please use the question feature in the panel layout, and we'll look at those questions at the end. So Steve, if you'd like to go ahead to the next slide. Thank you very much indeed. Now, before we begin with the ERwin version 14, we wanted to do a quick update about the ERwin portfolio solutions. And it's essential for our clients to recognize how this evolution integrates seamlessly within the broader ERwin portfolio. And so here are some of the key concepts. Obviously, we'll be talking about the data modeling. The ERwin Data Modeler does set the standard for modeling SQL and NoSQL databases for design, deploy, and standardizing of your data. In the data cataloging world, Quest's ERwin DI solution automates data management from a single source view, providing lineage, impact analysis, and reference management. Also included in the DI suite is the data quality section, where you can profile and score your data across platforms to ensure reliability and build trust. Data literacy, also a key component of the ERwin Data Intelligence Framework, empowers teams to define data in business terms, ensuring clear data governance and accountability. And of course, the ERwin Data Marketplace, which is again part of the ERwin DI suite, which provides a centralized hub for data users to discover, compare, and access trusted data sets like a consumer-style marketplace. And Sandhill is here to guide you in leveraging these tools for success. So with that, Steve, let's go to the next slide and see what we're going to cover in version 14. In this latest version 14 of ERwin, Quest is offering the most advanced features yet, making your data journey smoother, faster, and smarter. And today we'll walk you through what we're calling the big five of this release. Starting with PostgreSQL 16.2 integration, where you can seamlessly manage your models for one of the fastest growing databases out there. In the Data Vault redesign, Quest has updated and simplified the approach to handling the most complex data warehousing needs. In the NoSQL framework rework, Quest understands that designing data isn't always about relational databases, and as such, Quest has reimagined the NoSQL framework to make managing semi-structured data feel like a breeze. There are also enhancements to the ER360, where enhanced visualization takes your enterprise relation insights to a whole new level. And finally, the user interface improvements. Designed with you in mind, Quest have created an experience that is more intuitive and efficient than ever. All of these features and more in version 14, which is built to fuel your enterprise and maximize your business impact to your data. So Steve, with that, I'll transfer it over to you where we can do a deep dive into each of these areas.
Thank you, Robert, and hello to everyone. So I'll go through the big five and some of the other points that Robert mentioned as well. Let's start with the new support for PostgreSQL 16.2. So it's a constantly growing desire for support for Postgres, being a free-to-use model and powerful database. It's been increasingly popular, and it continues to to grow in terms of functionality as well. So to be honest, the support has fallen behind previously. So this is really an update to bring the tool up to date with this popular database. So full reverse and forward engineering capabilities included. So that means direct connection to the database using JDBC or ODBC, and also for the first time reverse engineering from script as well. So that was something that was missing from previous support. So all in all, that gives us the same level of support that we've got for all of the major databases, brings it into line with those as well. And having that support for both reverse and forward engineering also means that those features can be used within the context of complete compare as well. The next new feature that we've got is the addition of Azure DevOps as an option within the Git integration. So Git integration was added a while ago. I think probably the first question that people asked was, can we use it with Azure DevOps? And at the time we couldn't. So now it's been included. It should be a popular inclusion for anybody using the Azure stack. So you can establish connections using personal access tokens. You can use the branch facilities within or repositories from the forward engineering dialog. And you can also append text or script from the alter script dialog onto existing files as well. Also, Git branching is included as a wider option as well within the other repository types. And Ryan will be demonstrating this a little bit later. So the Data Vault redesign. Data Vault support was introduced a couple of versions ago. And it suffered from feeling a little bit detached from the main tool, a little bit of inconsistency with some of the ways that things were done. So there's been an overhaul on that. So it integrates better with things like themes and allows you to copy and paste and things like that. Also, the addition of cloning and the ability to use the bulk editor with the Data Vault component as well. So what the Data Vault component actually does is it gives you sort of a template for Data Vault features such as the hubs, links, satellite, bridges, pits, reference. So that type of table, you can associate a particular style with that. So all hubs or all entities of particular type will have the same style. You can also specify the standard columns to go with that type of table as well, and also apply a naming standard. Okay, so all of those features are built in. So you're given the templates for hubs, links, satellites, etc., all the DV2 components, but you can also extend this and create your own templates for other table or entity types as well. So it goes beyond DV2 in the sense that you can create table templates for other table types. And using those templates makes it easier to do your DV modeling and also other physical modeling as well. And using those templates reduces errors and improves consistency. Okay, another feature that was added a while ago was the with the introduction of support for NoSQL databases, was the denormalization, normalization features to go between the relational and NoSQL styles. So it proved popular, but it was not the easiest thing to use. So in reaction to the feedback from that, what ERwin have done is they've simplified the denormalization features, denormalization and normalization features, to make it a lot easier. And they've also segregated the logical model from the physical model. So the logical model will remain as a relational style model, whereas the physical side of the model will be the denormalized style. You'll be able to move between, within a logical physical model, you'll be able to move between those two representations. You'll be able to work in either the logical or the physical, and changes that you make will be reflected appropriately in the other view. So you can see here. So here we've got the SQL view on the left-hand side. That will be shown in the logical side. On the physical side, this is shown for MongoDB. You see the sort of document style, the embedded objects within the document there. So when you're moving from SQL to NoSQL, a one-to-one relationship is translated into an object data type on the physical, and a one-to-many relationship is converted into an array of objects on the side. Going the other way from NoSQL to SQL, then those object data types are converted back into a one-to-one relationship, and an array of objects is converted back into a one-to-many relationship. So if you introduce, say, an array of objects into the physical, swap back to the logical, you will see a new entity and a new relationship shown in there. Again, Ryan will be showing this feature later. Google BigQuery support. So this has been extended. Valve is quite a young product and moves forward quite quickly with new features on a fairly regular basis. So this is intended to catch up with some of those features. So the addition of support for primary and foreign keys in BigQuery. So in effect, the addition of relational integrity into the models. New properties have been added for existing objects. So many objects have got an extended property list now. And all of the added properties are supported both for reverse and forward engineering. There's also the addition of remote function and the associated properties there. So the remote operations configuration can be specified in there. So there's been one or two changes to the user interface as well. So some of the editors have moved to the more modern sort of monolithic interface, and there have been changes to the way that the tabs on the editors have changed from a long list of options to a stacked tab to aid simpler navigation. They have got the option with that particular feature to choose between the existing display and the new format. So here, for example, can see in the table editor here, we can see in the bottom window the old style of tabbed property editors, and on the right hand side we can see the way that that's presented by default now. But you can uncheck the options, and so from the tools menu, the options selection, you can uncheck the multi-line tab and go back to the old style if you wish. So this is another interesting addition, and we think it will improve efficiency quite a lot here. So this is the ability to save your reverse engineering configurations, so your connection details, connection credentials, and the options that you select in your reverse engineering. So the ability to save these either locally or to the mod, and share them across users. So if you've got many connections, you don't need to remember all of the different connection details or options that you use. You can list all of those out, save them, and just choose the relevant one when you do your reverse engineering. Particularly useful if you've got a large number of connections and a large number of users. The ability to save and share those across the user community is, we think, it's going to be a very handy feature. You can also use these configurations within the DM scheduler as well. So if you're doing a scheduled reverse engineer, you can select from that list of connections as well. So this is an example here. So you go through the normal option set, save the options that you want with the addition of the connection credentials as well, and then that will be available whenever you want to repeat the same reverse engineer. You come in again, you choose the relevant option, and those settings will just be followed on automatically. You can also save that to the mart and import the list from the mart and use it from there as well. And within the scheduler, when you're setting up your schedule, you can also use the configuration settings from within that dialog. Another change to the scheduler is the ability to set the compare level. So previously, within the scheduler, when you schedule a reverse engineer, you've got the option to include a complete compare. Previously, you only had the logical physical option pre-selected for you. Now you've got the option to choose the logical physical, logical physical, or database level within there as well. And that same option has been added to the API interface, so the SCAPI interface. So now you've got that level. If you're doing your comparisons through the API, it's a lot quicker if you do it through the API to get a report out. So it's worth considering doing that. And now with the addition of the compare level, then that gives you more power within the API as well. Okay, so that's the highlights of the data modeler changes. Moving on to the MART and ER360, we've got a number of changes here. In terms of the MART, major change within the MART is an update to the UI, so it's slightly cleaner and a bit easier to see. Behind the scenes, there's also been performance improvements when you're uploading the models as well. So it's quicker to get your models into the MART. And there've been on the ER360 side, there's been a few display fixes as well. So on the this one's on the MART portal harvesting, so that's been simplified. So all of the options seen together here in a more simple, straightforward dialog, so you can see the source, target, and job details all in one, rather than separate steps there. Moving on to ER360, with a number of improvements. The big ones, the inclusion of worksheets. So a worksheet is a named and saved query or set of search criteria, if you will. So you can just open a worksheet, it will rerun that query when you open it, and you'll get the current results for that set of search criteria. You can create as many of those worksheets as you want to. You can share them with other users so that people have got a sort of configured set of queries to operate on the ER360 models. We've also got the addition of collections. So this is another way of that you want to share. So the difference with a collection is that that's a fixed set of objects. So you'll see on all the objects there's now an option to add that option to add that object into a collection. And again, you'll see in the demos how easy it is to create and add to a collection. Another change to ER360 has been the addition of the option to save a diagram as an SVG file. So if you want to save and use the diagram in another web application or in another document, and you can do that now with the download to SVG option. Then there are a number of other changes in there. So sharing hyperlinks, the folder structure the models shown within a folder structure. Originally, in the first iteration of ER360, it was just a flat list of models. Now reflects the folder structure. You can see UDP values now within objects as well. You can search within catalogs. You can export to CSV and Excel. If you've got a JSON model, then you can export that model into a JSON file. And the column orders on the diagrams are there to reflect what was added originally to the in the data modeler. Okay, so a few of those features now Ryan is going to demonstrate to you. So I'll hand you over to Ryan.
Thank you very much. And thank you for running through those slides for us, Steve, to give a brief introduction. And what I'm going to start is just a quick overview of the data modeler and some of those new features and enhancements. And then we'll start having a look at the changes that have been made within ER360. So we're going to start off with, we've got our classic example eMovies model here. And at the moment, this is just a SQL Server model. But at the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to decide if we need to have a look at the NoSQL models and some of the changes that have been made to the normalization and denormalization. So I'm going to switch over to physical model, and we can see here as a SQL Server model looks as expected. But if we go over to actions and go over to our target database, and we'll go over to MongoDB. For those of you who are already familiar with this, you would expect a checkbox to be here for whether or not you want to choose to go through the advanced denormalization. As part of the simplification, that option has now been removed and instead will automatically be applied to our physical layer. So if I go ahead to click OK, and that will go through and run through the expected denormalization process, and it's gone through and simplified our model down. So we can see we've got 4 different fields that have been set up. If we go ahead and switch to our logical model, however, we can see that is still exactly as we would expect from what we saw beforehand, where we've still got all of our pre-existing entities have been set up. So this is where we can see an example of that separation between the logical and the physical layers. Now, each time we switch between those diagrams, it won't go through that denormalization process. But if we go ahead and make a change to our objects, then it will. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and go in and add a new column to our employee table. I'm just going to call this Michael for now. And now if I go back over to the physical layer, we can see it's run through and applied those changes to physical MongoDB setup, and that have been added on to our employee or equivalent of our employee table. Just going to switch back over to another model, and again we'll just switch back over and apply the same change to this model. In this case, I'm going to do something a little bit different. We're actually going to apply our change to our MongoDB model. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the first the collection properties and then the field editor. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a new field. And we're going to go ahead and change our data type over to array. And we'll go ahead and within that we'll add some more objects. So I'm just going to call this a new array object. If I go ahead and close to save those changes, and we can see that has been added on to the bottom of our store table. If we go ahead and switch back to the logical, it will now run through that denormalization process and will be added in. So we've got our new field has been added in as a new entity along with the array objects and a relationship back up to our store table. If we go ahead and right click and open our attribute properties, we can go ahead and see that our array object is keeping with the char 18 corresponding with the string data types that was applied for our physical MongoDB field. We can also see an example of the improved UI for the editor within our properties. Now, as Steve mentioned, there's also been various other UI enhancements, one of which is the reverse engineering configuration. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sign into my Mart, And if we go over to our actions pane, we can see that next to the reverse engineering icon, we now have a new icon to open the configuration. And we can see we've got a few options here. So starting with, we can go ahead and connect to our mask. And we've got a couple of options here. We've got the export, which is currently grayed out since we don't have anything at the moment. But we've also got the option to import our configurations from our mask. And we see we've already got an option for an AdventureWorks, which is our SQL Server database that's been loaded from a mark and was created by someone else. We can also go ahead and create new configurations. So if I go ahead and select new, we can choose a name for this. I'm going to call this eMovers. And again, we can set the database type and our version. And if we go ahead and click reverse engineer, we'll go through the typical reverse engineering wizard that we're all used to. So we can set connections options as usual. We've got database, and then if we go ahead and click connect, that will go through, test the connection, and now we can start going through our schemas. So again, we can refine the scope that we want to include, so we could have multiple configurations for different reverse engineering scopes. Now, for this example, I actually want the full database. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the schemas and all of the tables. And then we've got the option set, details options, scheduler settings, and also project settings. I'm going to go ahead and click OK to save that configuration. And we've got a pop-up, so we don't have to, but we have got the option to add our new configuration to our mart. I'm not going to select that for now. This will be a purely local list. If we have got a local one, we don't have to run through the configuration again. I can just go ahead and select that configuration and click export, and that will go ahead and add it to our mart list. So I go ahead and save those changes and then go over to the reverse engineer. We now have that new drop-down menu that's been added in with our predefined list. And we can see both the AdventureWorks, but also the new eMovers that we set up. And now if we were to click next, rather than going through that reverse engineering wizard that we would typically expect, it will go through and immediately start running that reverse engineer for us. Within Mart changes, we've also got the improvements to Git integrations. So again, I'm going to go back over to the Mart tab, and we'll go on to Git connections. Here we have a few different options. So starting with our hosting service. So we've got all of our GitLab, GitHub, and Bitbucket from our previous versions. We can now see we've got the inclusion of the Azure DevOps. And this is all laid out in the brand new Manager UI that fits with the wizard scheming of all of our other tools. Again, we've got the same options as before, where we've got the personal access token, except now we can choose between whether we want to connect to an organization or repository or a user repository. And then we can also select the name. And we see in this case, we're not supplying the URL that is being formed automatically in the background. And so all we have to do is supply the simple parameters. We can also see underneath we've got a list of all of our previous saved connections as well if we need to go ahead and make any changes. If we stick with our GitLab connection and go to our repositories, we can see we can now get the choose of multiple different repositories, again, without having to supply the specific URL. If I go over and select my repository, we can also see a list of all of the branches. In this case, we just have our main branch for this repository. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that one and go ahead and save that connection. Now I'm going to go ahead and open one of our Mart-based models, and I'm going to go to my AdventureWorks and go ahead and get that opening. So now, if we go over to our Actions tab, as before, we can go through our schema generation. I'm just going to go straight over to our preview. As with all of our Mart models, now we've got that connection, we can either save the preview as a text file, we could either generate it and run it against our database, or we could go ahead and click the button to commit to a Git repository. Here we can see we've got a list of all of those saved connections that we saw earlier, and it will pre-fill the repository and the branch that we set. I'm going to call this ADV for our AdventureWorks, and this is just going to be our initial commit. Again, as before, we've got the option to save to a local file as well at the same time. If I go ahead and hit commit, it gives a warning message to save the model and then commit the script. And as well as being able to view this within GitLab, we will also be able to see this within the Mart administration. So coming out of the data modeler, giving a brief overview of some of the new features and enhancements, we're now going to move over to ER360. So I'm going to log in, and again, we can see how the UI for the Mart portal in ER360 is now fully aligned. And if we have a look over on the toolbar on the left-hand side, we can see we've now got the options for our collections and worksheets have been added in. We're going to start off with our worksheets, and anyone familiar with the web portal, the worksheets and collections that we've now got in ER360 are going to be very similar in how they function. As Steve mentioned, the worksheets are going to give essentially a saved search parameters. So you can see we've got one we've set up previously. And so we've got a list of results, and when I open that worksheet, these results will have all been refreshed. But we've got the option to set our search parameter. In this case, I'm searching for customer information, so I've just set that to cust. We've got categories, which is going to refine the objects that we're searching for. In this case, I'm looking for customer related information, so I've just gone for our columns and fields for our NoSQL models. And then I've also refined it down to be running on specific models. And again, we can see that full catalog structure with our libraries there. We've also got the option, if we look over on the right-hand corner, we've now got the option to share. So we can pick different users that we want to share that with. And once we've shared it with those users to log back in, it would now appear under the section for shared worksheets that someone else has generated for us. Similarly to the collections, this is going to be a similar interface, except now, as Steve mentioned, we're getting a static list of objects. Again, I've got one I've set up before, but we're actually going to go ahead and do a run through of creating a new collection. We've got the button in the top right corner, so we can set a name, and I'm going to call this employee info. We've also got the option to add a description there if we want to. If we go ahead and click on that collection, at the moment we don't have anything in there. But if we go ahead and click the edit icon and then the ad, we can go ahead and run a similar search to what we saw with the worksheet. Or if we have an existing collection, we can pull our objects from there. So I'm actually going to go ahead to the employee status, and which at the moment has got both employee and department information. We're just going to go ahead and pull in the employee related tables. We're then going to go back in and go to our search for any other employee related information. So again, I'll go through, I can select my categories. So I want tables and records this time around. And I also want to go ahead and set our models. We want all of our adventure works, our e-movies. So we're really going for a full repository-wide search here. And then submit to get our new results. At the moment, we've got several results here. We can see we've got several with the check marks as grayed out. So these are the ones that we added in earlier from our employee status collection. But then we've also got several new results that haven't been grayed out, and then we can select these. And these are the ones that we've got from our new search. So again, I can go ahead and click add, and that will refresh our results. I can then go ahead and save that collection and switch to our view mode. So we can go through, we can select edit an object. We've got the property pane over on the right hand side. We can export these results to a text file. We can share them to other users, similarly to the worksheets. And we can also just click on our objects to drill down into their catalog entry. So, going to wrap it up there for the ER360. Just giving a brief overview of some of the new features. Some of you may be familiar with them already. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass you back over to my colleague Robert, just to finish up and answer any comments or questions that you may have.
Ryan, thank you very much indeed. And Steve, thank you very much indeed. To our audience listening now or listening on a review of this at Sandhill, we're here to help you make the most out of your metadata and ERwin version 14. With our decades of experience in modeling, data governance, and data intelligence, we don't just sell ERwin, we help you succeed. Sandhill helps our clients with hands-on training, with value-add support, and upgrade assistance to keep you ahead on new releases. And with our Data Modeling Center of Excellence, our Data Governance Center of Excellence, our capabilities to offer DCAM assessments or DIMBOK training, we can help organizations across the globe elevate their data game. We combine deep experience with personalized service to unlock your data's full potential, and we encourage our attendees to contact Sandhill consultants directly for tailored solutions that meet their business needs. Now, Ryan, I know that we've been looking at some questions there. So, Steve, you and the team have been answering some questions on the chat feature there on the questions. I believe that all of those questions have been answered. So, if our audience would like to take a quick look at those 4 or 5 questions in there, you'll be able to see the answers on that. And it just remains for me to wrap up here and just say that, first of all, thank you for attending. And second of all, please contact your local Sandhill team member, whether that's at info@sandhill.com or our website, sandhill.co.uk. We're here to ensure your data journey is a success. And with that, please do remember that we will be sending out a link to this recording. And actually, Bhupesh, you just saw your text come in. There's one more question coming in, so let me just go ahead and pull that up. Just see what it is. And Steve, Ryan, if you guys can just confirm this question. And I believe it is, let me get, I think, Steve, you already answered that. So, Bhupesh, I think that's already been addressed. So, to all our users, thank you very much indeed. This concludes this webcast, and we'll be following up with a link in the next, short period. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Bye.